some people, if they set that goal, they'll be really happy and present with that process, just having that goal, like I want to send 13A or whatever. Some people will be really distracted and negative, and it also won't necessarily help their climbing because they might find the most soft touch 13A in their local area that totally suits them. So then they just get stuck in these like niches and comfort zones with their climbing because they've not prioritized learning. They're coming from this mindset of wanting to achieve the number rather than actually seeing the number. What is the number? We like it because it signifies that we've grown as a climber. But we know that the grades don't always match with the challenge level and the difficulty, right? So if you're not being challenged to the right level and that's not actually going to develop you as a climber, what's the point in doing it? So I think it varies from person to person, and there's nothing wrong with having like an outcome goal like that. But I think you need to be a bit self-reflective and go, is this actually good for me in my climbing? Or am I just getting myself in this negative, distracted hole of just trying to tick things for the sake of the number because it bolsters my ego a bit, but actually I don't know if I'm developing as a climber? So what you could do is you could say, okay, what are my weaknesses in climbing? What do I want to get better at? And you go, well, I'm not that good at power endurance climbs. So I'm going to find like a power endurance route, which I know that if I do that route, I will have improved my power endurance. So whatever the grade is, could be 13A, you find that power endurance route, you train power endurance, but that primary goal, process goal of getting better at power endurance, that's your main outcome. That's your main driver. And then the 13A is just this secondary thing, which is like the little cherry on the top kind of thing. And that's just so much better because you'll be really present with the process and you'll value the process the whole way. And even if you don't send, you'll go, well, I've improved my power endurance because I've been training that all season and I've had a great time on this route. And this route has really helped me learn X, Y, and Z. And, it's really improved my power endurance. So I'm happy. I'm a happy climber, and that's what it's about, right? Like, what's the point if we're not happy climbers? So I think it's personal, but I think the approach of actually being driven by learning, growth, and mastery, you will see not only better outcomes, but also you'll just be a happier climber as well.
God, this is such a therapy session for me, Hazel. This is so great. I'm just like... He's like, I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna lay down on the couch. This is so awesome. That really resonates.
All right, y'all. Just a quick shout out to today's awesome sponsor, which is Friction Labs. A chalk. Look at this stuff. They make the best of the best, and now in 100% recyclable packaging, outside and inside. Look at that. It's so good. I've been using this chalk for a decade, y'all, because it just works. It feels amazing on my skin. I chalk up less. I think you guys are going to love it as well. You now get 20% more in this new eco-friendly packaging, and you get 20% off by hitting that link below using code STRUGGLE at frictionlabs.com. I love this stuff. Let's get back to the interview.
Let's talk about some specific pros from this conversation. I want to start with Alex Magosa because I think, the assumption is that he's just this German cyborg who can climb anything and is, built of steel. And I was kind of quite surprised when I heard him in his interview, and fear of failure was like his number one. And to the point where he wasn't wanting to try routes at what he felt could be his absolute limit because he didn't even want to try to face the possibility that it wouldn't go. And so, when somebody's in that kind of state, I'm not sure if you've worked with clients in that way. We don't need to psychoanalyze Alex, directly without him here. That wouldn't be fair. But, what were your impressions when you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. I think when you watch these films of like some of our top sport climbers, if you really watch them, you can see that they're not that happy, And I think that's it's kind of a sad part of not just climbing, but I think of really top end sports and athletics in general. And it's where actually I think some of our pro climbers aren't actually the best role models for people, that actually if you use climbing as your hobby, should you emulate someone who doesn't really look that psyched and doesn't is really hard on themselves and gets angry? Not saying that this is Alex, but just in general, like sort of exhibiting quite a negative mindset. And it's difficult because I think a lot of those external drivers can successfully drive someone to success. Sorry, that's a bad way of wording it, but they work. These external motivators, they do work, but you do also see quite a lot of mental health problems in high-end sport as well because of it. But I think each person has. I think a lot of these pros are working on it. They might not talk about it, but I do think that there's some internal demons in there for some people that are driving them to these really high levels, and I think they are, a lot of them, working on it. But also they do find a lot of joy in climbing. So just because some of these moments you see them when they're really at their like the hardest moments for them, we see them on film. But I've climbed with Alex and a lot of these pro climbers, and I know that for a lot of the time there's a lot of joy there in climbing for them. So yeah, but I think it would be great if the whole community could be a little less like achievement oriented. I think the whole social media thing makes it worse, right? Like people just want to see the ticks, those green boxes, and I think it would be nice if we talked a bit more about the actual experiences that we're having on the wall. Are you doing this climb to tick the box, or actually you having this cool experience when you do it? And I want to hear about that experience. I don't necessarily just want to hear about whether you did it or not.
It does seem like there's at least starting to be an awareness and some evolution towards that mindset. Alex Magosa is a perfect example. I'm going to play a clip here from his interview, and I'd like to get your impressions on it.
So trying to minimize the pressure, I'm literally telling myself it really doesn't matter. If you climb it today, it doesn't matter. The world's not going to change. You're not going to change. You're still the same person. The world's still going to spin tomorrow,
So what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a valid way of responding to fear of failure, and it's called putting it in perspective. And it's definitely something that I might use as a coach with someone is in sort of like zooming out from your life, right? Taking this bird's eye view on your life and going, does this climb really matter? Or are there things that could happen that would matter so much more than this climb? A family member becoming ill, or an injury. Injuries can be really good learning moments for pro climbers, because they go, being able to climb, I'm so grateful for that. And Kevin Jorgensen talked about gratitude, and that's another tool, putting things in perspective and then being grateful for what you have. You're one of the best climbers in the world. You get to do something like right on the edge of what's possible for humans. How lucky is that you get to be that person, right? That's so good at something. So yeah, I think it's cool that Alex is managing it in that way.